What's up, guys? It's Snugs, and today we're going to talk about 13 tips to make you a more efficient player in Path of Exile 2. Let's jump in. Tip number one is going to be to roll your maps together. I am guilty of not doing this enough, but I know I really should be. You know, we get these nice outlines now when you click an orb. It's going to show you which one is applicable. I have some blue maps here. That means that I know that I need to get some prefixes or suffixes on there. Then we can do all of our regals together. And then since I'm a ritual player and I only really need prefixes, I'm not too concerned with suffixes. I know I can go till my prefixes are full. If it happens first, I have an open suffix here. I don't need to keep going. That's a pretty decent little map for ritual. And you can keep going down the line and doing them all together and hitting your exalts if you want. Again, it just depends. It's a good way to be efficient. Now, if you're like me and you only need prefixes, we can use Omen of Sinistral Alchemy, and it will only fill prefixes and one suffix, which is pretty cool. So just keep that in mind. That's going to be tip number one and tip number two. All right, tip number three is going to be make sure that when you are looking at your trades on Alva to hold Alt over the market ratio, and it will show you buying versus selling. For example, I got these audiences. I put them in my window for trade last night, and I got 9 divines out of them, even though the current market ratio is about 8.3 or 8.7, 8.5, and buying for about 8.5. So how did I do this? Well, I know I didn't really need the currency right away, so I just put them up overnight. That way they're going to sell for a higher price, because a lot of people aren't looking to buy, 5 audiences at a time, but a lot of people are still looking for 1. So the next snapshot trade that it's going to go to is 9 divines. All right, tip number 4 is prices go up at night. If you can hold off and you don't need that currency, like I just kind of talked about in the last tip, try to hold off on your currency items with Alva until night. So price them a little bit higher if you need to leave your computer, and there's a good chance they're going to sell by the morning. If they don't sell, you can always drop them back down, but try taking a shot at a higher price at night, at least in the Americas region. Tip number 5 is beeline for towers first if possible. You can kind of see I've got a trail going through here. It's a pretty straight line. It goes to tower to tower to tower. Now I've got all of these nodes, these map nodes, getting buffed by towers, giving them a lot more value than if I just kind of did them as I went and kind of moved in a wave. Try to go for your towers first. I know a lot of people know this, but you are giving up value by not running to your towers first in an area. Tip number 6 is you can control click Ketzuli, and it will open up the disenchant window, and you can alt click for buying and selling. Same thing with Ondoriani. You can control click to identify items, and then you can alt click to open up the selling window. Tip number 7 is you can shift click on a stack of currency and then hit whatever number you want, and it will only partially trade that one stack. This is a buddy of mine, by the way. He's not going to take it. It will only do part of that stack, and you can do it in the window. Tip number 8 is refreshing your tabs and refreshing your items before you go back into a map. This one will take a little bit longer to explain, but I have a wand that I'm trying to get, 5, 10 divine out of. If I take it out of the window, put it back in the window or in the tab for trading, I go into a map. It has now been refreshed on the site. This does a couple things in the player's mind. It now looks like it is a brand new, fresh item that just hit the market. So people are more likely to buy that item because it's fresh. It hasn't been sitting around for days. You can also refresh your entire tab. So if you hit public, take that off. You can either go into your map again, come back and hit public again. There's a couple different ways, so you can do entire tabs at the same time like that, but it really, really helps move more items, and it is a great way of playing more efficiently. Tip number 9 is towers are still bad. I still put a level 1 or tier 1 waystone into it and just rush to the end. The problem is until GGG adds actual mechanics or something to do within the actual tower itself, I don't think it is actually worth running towers. I think most people will agree with me on this. It's nice that they added a little bit of flavor to the towers. However, I still think it is just worth rushing to the actual precursor tile at the end of the map, unfortunately. Tip number 10 is have a game plan for leveling alts. Having things like different sets of gear for different levels ready to go in your inventory. For example, these are some boots that I have ready for level 52. I've got level 45 big damage bonus gloves ready for level 45, so on and so forth. I have multiple sets of gear that I use for leveling alternate characters. This will save you hours and hours and hours. It is worth investing a little bit, at least, into getting some great gear at different levels throughout the campaign. Tip number 11 is if you are not having fun, it's not the right strategy for you. Meaning a strategy can be the pinnacle, the most profitable, but if you're burning out, and burnout is so real in ARPGs, right? It's such a grindy game. If you're not having fun, you're going to stop playing that strategy. You may stop playing entirely at all, and it ends up being less efficient in the long run versus doing something that you really enjoy or really having fun. Tip number 12 is take a break. If you're not finding anything good, you feel like you're not getting something back from what you're doing in the game, it's actually probably better to take a break. Again, this kind of comes back to the burnout thing, but sometimes taking a break can clear your mental and make you play more efficient and get you towards those GG items simply by taking a break. And my last but not least tip number 13, is familiarize yourself with keybinds. Knowing your keybinds in the game is so important. If you feel like something's in the wrong place, if it doesn't feel mechanically good to you, if it doesn't feel ergonomic, I would recommend changing it. For example, Control U is a fast way to get to the Atlas skills, things like that. But in any game, for like the king of all examples is going to be like StarCraft 2, right? Keybinds are so important in being efficient and saving time. I would definitely, if you are not familiar with your keybinds in Path of Exile 2, I would highly recommend checking it out. All right, guys, that was 13 tips to help you play more efficiently in Path of Exile 2. I hope this helps somebody out there. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to leave a thumbs up and a subscription. But until the next time, guys, thank you so much for watching and have an amazing day. Peace out, folks.